deliberately weren't talking with Shelley about Rupert Murdoch, because that's the focus now. Murdoch may never have imagined it would end like this. The picture with Bob Iger overlooking the London skyline is the final shot before the credits roll on this part of his career. He told Sky News, of which he owns 39% and is trying to buy the rest of it, that the deal came together relatively quickly.
This started with Bob Iger, a friend of mine, sitting at my winery one evening, having a couple of glasses and just talking about our businesses and the industry generally, the forces of disruption that were happening. And that was all. Then he rang me back a couple of weeks later. He said, look, let's get into this conversation a bit more. And that's how it was. That's only 2 months ago.
Murdoch is a classic newspaper man. Made his name in his homeland of Australia, and then, of course, in the United Kingdom with The Sun and The Times and the News of the World. It wasn't until the 1980s when he got into movies. He bought 20th Century Fox, as it was then, from the oil baron Marvin Davis, and then Fox Broadcasting. Following on from that, he got into Sky and Star TV. Controversy everywhere. Triumphs. There were failed attempts to make the empire even bigger. Now he's come full circle. He's cutting back on the TV and the movies, and he's focusing on the papers. Stuart Purvis is the former chief executive of independent television news, known as ITN. Stuart joins me from London. The way in which Murdoch is dismantling the very empire that he built speaks volumes about the man, doesn't it? And his capacity to play this three-dimensional chess of media markets.
Absolutely right, Richard. Here's a man who nearly 50 years ago got off the plane from Australia, bought an English Sunday newspaper, upset the British establishment, never really got on with the British establishment, but built businesses, bought more newspapers, bought TV. Even last year he bought some commercial radio assets, and now he's actually doing a deal to become smaller. We're still in a bit of shock. I mean, with all the headlines about 21st Century Fox and Disney, I'm saying the story is Murdoch sells Sky. The platform he spent years and years developing, the platform he'd been trying desperately for 7 years to take complete ownership, control of, and he's suddenly, at the very moment, maybe just weeks away from the moment where he could have had it all, he's decided he doesn't want it.
Now, I'm hearing two views. One is he didn't want to risk being found to be not a fit and proper person to own Sky. That's one view. The second view is that this is just a genius foresight in getting out of old school or old style, but getting 25% of the new Disney with its streaming capability.
Well, it could be a bit of both. I mean, I personally always thought this deal was going to go through, and we'll find out, actually, because it's still going through the processes whilst the American regulators look at the Disney Fox deal. So, if he was put off by the kind of noise that's been around it, that's a little bit unusual for him, but there we are. But on the other piece you mentioned, yes, absolutely right. I mean, he's basically telling us in this interview with Sky that actually he doesn't really think entertainment has a future on television. So, do you read from that he's selling his television interests, which are in the entertainment area, so that he doesn't lose value on them? So he's actually getting out, as he would see, at the best point in the market.
In terms of Disney and how they will perform, Disney, obviously, the movies are familiar. Disney and National Geographic and so, but Disney has less of a footprint elsewhere within international markets.
Yes, I mean, Disney has had a sort of inconsistent record in distribution. Sometimes it's been just a seller to networks, sometimes it's had its own branded networks. I mean, the point I think is relevant about this is about regulation. Right. You take this deal here in Britain, Murdoch is having to go through a whole series of hoops to try to get control of what he wanted on this platform. But at the same time, there are the giants, the new digital giants, are coming into countries like the UK, throughout Europe, right, throughout Asia, and actually setting up, I mean, the danger to call them monopolies, but that's to many people what they are. So from his point of view, he is being disadvantaged because he is seen as television.
So in terms of, back to Rupert, I mean, he's got the newspapers. People say he might fold the remaining news assets, particularly in the US, the Fox News, Fox Sports, Fox Business, into his newspapers, join them all up again. He's still a newsman at heart.
That's what he says, though he is curiously unemotional about letting go of Sky News and Sky Sports, the two things he says news and sports are the future. What I take from that is he likes Fox News, he likes Fox Sports, and wants to develop those, and who knows what he wants to do in the number of stations he can own in the States. So, yes, that's the story. There is, you see, a fit with the News Corp, which is a news-led newspaper, mostly newspaper group, so you can bring those two together. Very interesting tonight, he was trying to make clear that actually there will be, I think, 2 billion cash flow from this news and sport TV business.
Stuart, it's good to see you.